You ever get that guy who's just floating around your table for 20 minutes trying to finesse you to then just turn around and ask you who your manufacturer is or where you get your prints made? Well, this interaction can be a little awkward for all parties involved, so let's skip that step. So this is the first video in a series of videos on where to get things made as an artist. I was going to make it one big video, but it was ending up to be like 3 hours long, so we're breaking it up. This first video is going to mainly focus on printing and like artist prints and stuff like that. And then watch out for part 2, should be out next week, about general merch, enamel pins, apparel, stuff like that. Yep, the first section is about doing it yourself. I know, super annoying, but just hear me out. You're on the market to buy a printer. You're at home setup. You're seeing all these reviews, all these printing experts online suggesting the Canon Pixma Pro 100.
You're going to be all right. You just stumbled over a stone in the road. It means nothing. Your goal lies far beyond this, doesn't it? I'm sure you'll overcome this. You'll walk again. Soon.
It's a conspiracy. All of these people, they're lying to you. They're paid actors. A cult following, maybe. Look at this guy. Look at these guys. This printer's reliability has been the worst I have ever seen in a professional level printer. The printer's upfront price tag might look really appealing to a lot of people for a professional printer. However, it is not worth it. Don't fall into the same trap I did. Every issue you can think of, I have had with this printer. I couldn't go more than 3 prints without something malfunctioning. And the ink cartridges are so small, you'll have to replace them like every 10 prints. It'll actually cost you more money in ink cartridges in the long run than some of the more expensive printers.
I despise this thing.
I'm the upgrade.
So after the Pro 100's little accident, I've been using the Pro 1000 as my at-home setup, and just look at the size comparison. I mean, it's in the name. It's literally 10 times better. Also, it can double as a cat bed, so that's a plus. I'm sure the fur isn't an issue at all with the printing process. The upfront cost for this printer is really heavy.
But this one's a whole lot better.
It's capable of really high-end printing, and I haven't had to troubleshoot any major issues in the last year, which is how long I've owned this printer.
Those crazy contraptions can't create the kind of classic catastrophe one can cause by cleverly concealing a calamitous crater.
My biggest issue so far is that it caps out at 17-inch wide paper. This seems really odd. I don't know why it's not 18, as that's the next standard size. And then you could do 18 by 24 inch posters, which just seems like the logical route to go. It seems really awkward of a size measurement to cap out at, but it works for most things if you're not trying to do really large formats. I'm also really picky about my print quality, so having an at-home setup is a great way to have full control over that type of thing. I don't normally recommend it to beginners, as at-home printing or self-printing can be a whole skill within itself.
It's a skill issue?
Outsourcing to a printing company oftentimes can be cheaper once you take into account the investment of time and having to buy a fancy printer. So make sure to consider these things when you're thinking about, if you're going to invest in an at-home setup. So my final recommendation for an at-home printer is buy an Epson. But nobody can afford that, so good luck.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
Prints. The most important thing for any artist who's trying to sell their work. The flagship for any brand. I have tried a lot of different printing companies, like a lot. And the one I used to recommend over any other company, especially to beginners, CatPrint, one of the most recommended printing companies out there. And for a lot of good reasons. Their turnaround time is one of the fastest I've seen, and they don't require large minimums for print quantities. That way you don't get charged a huge fee for only printing a couple copies of any given design. This is one of the reasons I still recommend them, especially to beginners. However, I do know CatPrint used to be really well known for their specialty in foil printing. This is the one thing I don't recommend them for anymore, which is really sad because that's what I used to use them for.
I broke up with my ex-girl. Here's a number.
But alas, darkness has corrupted this once pure company. Their quality control, specifically on their foil printing and gold printing, has become unbelievably spotty. CatPrint is like that toxic relationship that you just can't get out of. I have spent over $10,000 per year for the last 3 years on print orders through them, and my orders are big. Their print quality has been jank. Granted, I use them primarily for foil detailing, which can be a little bit more complicated. But considering, a couple years ago, every order I got from them was pristine and on point, I think they just grew too fast and they haven't been able to keep up with the demand. And they used to be one of the only companies to do foil detailing. Well, that is not the case anymore. I would say like 50% of my orders I have to send back now. And I will say that they always replace them, and they're normally very apologetic about it, but I just don't understand why not check your orders before sending them out. It's costing me time, it's costing you money.
Your fur looks especially well groomed and glossy today, sir.
However, I do still recommend them for just normal color printing. They have a lot of paper options, a lot of size options, small, medium format. You can do custom sizes. And for these reasons, I think they can still be a great option, but try at your own risk. However, it's hot boy summer and we have a new contender. Foil Printing Co., my now go-to for any specialty printing. They have a ton of options. They have so many foil color options and paper stocks to choose from, and really thick paper as well, which I really appreciate, so definitely consider Foil Printing Co. for your printing needs. However, the only downside is their turnaround time is a bit longer than a lot of other places, so you'll have to plan that out, but if you can, it's definitely worth the wait. The other downside is they only have small and medium format, and even the medium format is a bit limited. So if you're looking for smaller specialty prints, they do a great job. They do custom sizes, but I think it only goes up to about 12 by 16. So they are on the smaller end at the moment, at least. I've seen a lot of printers raise their prices a few times in the last couple years. So now Foil Printing Co., who used to be a bit more expensive than other places, are now the cheaper option. So definitely consider them. So another printing company I've been really impressed with is Alco. They do digital UV printing, which is the process of exposing light to chemically treated paper, which I always thought was a process you could only do in the darkroom with film, but apparently you can do it digitally too. The reason I would suggest this process over other printing methods is because the color is immaculate. You get really great color matching, so if you're struggling to get good color matching from other printing companies, I definitely would consider Alco. I will say that their prices are pretty reasonable and their print quality is definitely on the higher end. So, think about that. However, I will say their website looks like it was made 100 years ago in a cave. So good luck navigating that. But if you can figure it out, it's definitely worth it. So another printing company I wanted to talk about is GotPrint, not so much because they're a suggestion, but because the second you breathe the word printing, you're going to get a ton of ads from GotPrint. I've tried them a couple times. They're not bad. They're definitely a budget printer, and you're definitely kind of getting what you pay for. But if you want to go kind of the more wholesale route where you're buying a lot of something for really cheap, they can definitely be a good option. They have a million options. You can get anything printed on anything through them, honestly. Again, quality's not the best, but it's not the worst either. That being said, I did have one issue with them once where I got a bad order of something. It looked like the printer was running out of toner or something, and they refused to replace it. Just keep that issue in mind. They're normally pretty good, but I guess not all the time. If you're looking for a larger format printing company, my suggestion and go-to is Vivia Print. Very high quality, and the prices are some of the best I've seen for large format. Everything is inkjet, which works really well for me as it matches my home setup. So things stay really consistent if I don't have time to print things myself. And the amount of options they have on like high-end fine arts papers or like even normal papers, and I think they even offer canvas printing, is just like astounding. I really recommend them for larger format printing. They do offer small and medium printing as well, but their pricing isn't as competitive to other companies, so I don't necessarily suggest them for that. However, they are a local LA based company, so you can pick up your prints in person if you live in that area, which is really great. Because it is large format, if you need stuff mailed to you, they do roll it, which isn't my favorite, but it definitely saves on shipping, so I guess that's understandable. And they also offer white label shipping straight to a customer if that's something you're interested in. So definitely keep them in mind. Very high end. So metal printing. I do some metal printing for like my more bougie art shows. However, it is very expensive to do. And furthermore, I go through BayPhoto, which is on the higher end of metal printing. There are definitely cheaper metal printers out there. However, BayPhoto does an exceptional job. The color is so rich and so vibrant. So I really like them, and I love how many options they have for like framing or back mounting. They also do like canvas prints and all sorts of stuff. I think they do normal printing as well, but just keep in mind that it is very expensive. But metal printing can be super cool and definitely has great results. So my suggestion for that is BayPhoto. Not sponsored or anything. I'm just a BayPhoto simp. So just keep that in mind. Again, very expensive. So one of my favorite printing companies is Moo. I know they're mostly known for their business cards. However, I love them for their small format printing and their specialty printing. They are very fancy and very high quality. However, they can be rather expensive if you're not buying a lot. So just keep that in mind. I really love their variety of paper options. They have like soft touch paper, which is kind of rare. And they also do specialty like gilding printing, and they'll do it on both sides of your prints, which is really great. And I don't see that very often. So I definitely recommend Moo if you're looking for something a bit more luxury. So last, but definitely least, is Vista Print. You probably already know about them. They're pretty popular. They're kind of like Moo's trashy cousin. They're definitely a budget option, but they can be good if you're just trying to hand out a lot of something and the quality doesn't really matter. I use them for like my pin backings and like freebies, things that don't necessarily need art printed on there, but you do need to hand out and get printed for. So they can be a good budget option for that. However, they have been raising their prices, which, so they're not as budget as they used to be, but they still have like zero quality control. So just keep these things in mind. Thanks so much for watching. Part 2 should be out next week, focusing on general merch. If this video helped you out at all, please think about subscribing or leaving me a like. It goes a long way with the YouTube algorithm and it would help me out a ton. If you would like to see any other videos related to art or marketing, please let me know in the comments below.